enlarge, but not enlarge, but just add to what he said here. And on this aspect, we just met some young men down here, and their letters are in here. And I'll be glad to identify them. That's his code.
And when you say you met some young, was that in?
So young men that are in the lawn care business.
Okay.
And these individuals, I walked up to them and asked them, I said, are you having any competition with the illegals? We're snowed in Hot Springs with people that are Mexicans that are over there and have the audacity to put it on the side of the truck. The names. Who are illegals, they're either driving or driving without insurance and license, or have illegal license that they've gotten so they can vote and cannot speak a word of English, and got these licenses from out of state. We know how it's happening, so we can help. If you have any ideas about how they're getting these driver's licenses, we can sure help you, because we've researched this. Anyway, these young men down here, they're two partners in that business trying to make a living for their families, tax-paying, Social Security paying, whole 9 yards, and they are struggling to stay afloat. They said, we lose business daily to these people who are in here and are benefited by our senators who are telling us, and La Raza and Lulai and these other, and the consulate up here, telling the world that they're only here to do jobs. And they're hard working to do jobs that Americans don't want. I challenge that. That analogy is totally false, and I can prove it. And I can give you the names of these young men that are in here, right here in Little. And if you want to have a list later, right now it's under development. Some of us here are members of a group that is a coalition of contractors in Hot Springs. And I suggest every city do that in your own cities. And contact me or talk to Margaret, and she can help you with how you can get this. These individuals are willing to go on record and put it in the newspaper as an ad. We do not hire illegal aliens. And we've got a way to prove that they are not illegals. And these contractors tell you that we don't have any way to check whether that individual is legal or not. They are lying to you. They are lying to you, and they are lying to the people that say, we can't round up these people. We can't find 20 million people. Let me say this. In my opinion, you can find one cow in this country that died of mid-cow disease, where that cow was bred and raised and fed all the way from the cradle to the grave. Now, if we find one cow, how come we can't find one person, or 20 million of them, that are violating our constitutional rights daily, hourly? So, I'm not jumping on you, don't get me wrong, but these situations are happening with our people that we elected in Washington. Now, we have an out. Now, there are many things that come down to malfeasance of office and this, you didn't put it on there. Yeah, dereliction of duty.
I started to say that.
You'll have to forgive
How did Eisenhower do it in his day? How did he get all of these people that were here? Our population wasn't as much as it is now. And he was able to round these people up and send them back across the border.
The money people, the greedy, the corrupt, the people who sold their souls to the almighty dollar and special interest groups, they're the ones that don't want it changed. Now, they're the ones that are passing the lies out, and people are soaking it up and saying, well, I can only believe what I read in the paper. Well, there's just been a, we don't have it here, but I'm sure you're familiar with the Rasmussen poll that came out yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you also familiar with the New York Times issue that came out yesterday concerning the poll that disputed the Rasmussen poll? Okay. The Washington Post came out yesterday and said that New York Times article is a lie. And they went through and showed how it was manipulated to get the answers that they did. And if you'd like a copy of that, I'll email it to you. And it shows that the bias was slanted on the people that they talked to, and they asked a dual question that there is no answer to. And consequently, it wound up that people said, yes, I think they might ought to be able to give these people amnesty. But at the same time, they rephrased it in another question on there, and they said, no, we want all of these illegals shipped home. Now, how do you associate those? And it's because those people want it slanted for their own political gain. And that's what they're going to feed. And they're feeding this to the people up
The big
there.
thing, and I have friends in Texas, they're, come on, Ron, how are we going to get 20 million? I said, the Nazis got 5, 10, 20 million Jews.
You're trying pretty quick.
I said, you know, all you got to do is go to Home Depot, you go to social services in Harrison, because it's mostly Mexicans now.
Little Rock.
Little Rock, but the schools, I want someone brave enough to get into the Senate that'll challenge the 14th Amendment and bring that
Absolutely.
back to the Supreme Court.
Everybody in this room, including, excuse me, I'm going to get
If a regular high school graduate reads the 14th Amendment, he understands that it doesn't mean that you're born here.
That's right.
If you're under another country's citizenship. And I have friends from the Philippines and China, and they land in Los Angeles, have a baby, and now they're waiting for their green cards. Perfectly legal. And it's utter idiocracy. And I don't know how to stop it either.
I can say this. There's one way, in my opinion, it can be stopped. And that is a civil lawsuit or a revolution. Hopefully you don't reach that point. Because I'm not inciting or instigating a lot of civil unrest. But the situation comes down that can be brought to the Supreme Court. And everybody in here ought to be thinking about challenging that 14th Amendment. Because that thing there is stealing as well as this amnesty that is a drop in the bucket compared to this thing with these amnesty, these anchor babies. That thing should be overruled. It should be retroactive, like we had access from President Clinton. Retroactive back. They can make that law retroactive. And anybody who's born in this country to illegal aliens that were in this country, and not either one were American citizens, should be deported to the home country. Or given us a temporary allowance to stay here till they waited their turn on the entrance into the country. But
No.
well, we have disagreements on how it could be worked.
Well,
The point being
the law
is,
says-
Parkland Avenue
The
Hospital.
amendment says, if you're a citizen of Switzerland and you come over and have a baby, you're under the protection of Swiss government, not the United States. That baby don't belong here.
Right.
Every country in the world changed that law. Nobody has it for that.
Well, I don't know. I have two children born from Naval Air Station, Roma, Spain. They came out of there with dual citizenship. And at the age of 21, then they could choose at that time.
Yeah.
Because you don't choose. Okay. But along that line,
The amendment wasn't changed. They interpreted.
we have, and not to try to, and I certainly appreciate and respect your giving us the time of day and to listen to our.
Everybody gets to do it.
But we'll be back.
You should give.
Now, if, on the response, Mr. Riggins, do we need to respond back to you?
I'd like for the people that had the courtesy to sign these letters, because they're individually.
Okay.
They may be the same verbiage, but,
Bill, give him that.
I have something.
and here's a copy of what we have as far as Senator Pryor. Now, let me say this, we're anticipating that he's going to stay on the same track and honor our Constitution and defeat this Senate bill in its entirety, 1348. That's a disaster, absolute disaster. And that could lead, I'm not threatening or anything else, but I'm suggesting that the natives are getting restless. And I have heard people that are on the fringe, they are suggesting that it may come down to armed revolution. Now, I'm a military man, and I'm sworn to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. So that would be domestic enemies as far as I'm concerned. But when it comes down that the politicians can be categorized as domestic enemies also,
Change the character.
then it changes character.
When we go back to the Declaration, as soon as the king is back down, we need to.
I'm going to. Let me say this, if I may. These are the letters that we have, and we have some other questions. I have one other lady I need to introduce to you, and she's from a group called Grassfire.